Hey, hey, welcome to Whole Latte Love live streams. I'm John. I'm going to be joined by a special guest today. We're going to be talking about one of my favorite subjects, which is coffee origins, but specifically, we're going to be talking about Ethiopia. And I'm very excited for this one. It's going to be very tough to get through everything in Ethiopia, so we might not be able to get to all of it, but it's going to be a blast regardless. Don't forget, we do these every Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss a notification for when we're going live. And not just that, but anything else cool that we do with coffee on the channel, which is plenty, as you know. So I do see James, hello again, in the comments. Don't forget, down below during the stream, you can comment in there and ask questions. We'll get to as many as we can. And I think it's probably about time to introduce my special guest who's going to help us understand everything having to do with Ethiopia. Danilo Lodi, welcome back to Whole Latte Love live streams. How you doing?
Thank you very much. I'm doing fine. How about you guys? How's the weather?
The weather's actually pretty good here. How's everything in Sao Paulo?
Well, like a mild winter, but it's okay.
What's a mild winter in Sao Paulo?
Well, between 50, 55, something like that.
We are at, 75 here, and that's like a break from what the humidity that we've been getting in Rochester, New York. So this is
Nice.
kind of a global stream today. Danilo's in Brazil. We're in the northeast of the United States. Don't forget, Danilo is a World Coffee Championship representative and judge, also a partner at Untold Coffee Lab, occasional collaborator with Whole Latte Love, and this would be a great example of our collaborations. So good to have you
Whenever you
back. The
guys
last
want
time
me.
I saw you, you were on a live stream and you brought Tiago, right?
Yeah, Thiago just fresh out of the competition in Brazil, the National Brewers Cup competition, and we want to share a little bit about what he did and some techniques because we're doing this series Brew Like a Champ. And so he was like, luckily he was in US, so we were able to bring him in and share some experience that he had in competition with us.
Yeah, and I remember you guys brewed some coffee together, and I snuck into the studio and had some too during that
Yeah,
live stream. After that, I saw you at SCA in Houston, and you were
yeah.
representing Untold Coffee Lab there, and that was a lot of fun too.
Oh yeah, like that was like a packed show. It was amazing. Connected with a lot of people from the industry, and of course having you guys over there, like you and Zach, pop up at the booth, helping us out. I think I sent you guys some people to help you guys too. So I think it was pretty
Yes.
fun, SCA.
Oh yeah, yeah. We had some really good guests that you sent over today, or for that rather. But speaking of which, today, before we get going, we're going to be talking about Ethiopia, everything having to do with Ethiopia, and we're even going to talk about our Ethiopian coffee offerings, which I have right here. We'll get there. But before we get going, anything that you want to say or bring up or make sure that we cover today?
I want to make sure that we talk about the known facts and not about jumping goats for sure. Like that's something that I do not want to talk about.
You don't want to talk about the myth of Kaldi the goat herder?
No, I'll pass.
Yeah, I think that's fun. We want to talk about things that we know are actually real, right?
Yeah, I think we should talk about like where coffee comes from, like why Ethiopia is such a important place for coffee. Talking about this coffee, how to extract, understand a little bit about not only the history but like what's happening today in Ethiopia, so people get to know a little bit more about this incredible producing country.
Awesome. And with that, I guess let's just kind of dive right in. And I'm skipping right over Kaldi and the goats. Thank you very much. But
Please.
um, to you, Danilo, what is the first instance of coffee being found in Ethiopia?
So like yeah, like that's the thing. Like there's some conflicted reports about when it was found. it's something like some people say like in the 6th century, it's on the 9th century.
Mm.
Again, what we do know, it's like the trees were there for many years. Like there's some studies saying there was like thousands, hundreds of thousands of years, maybe a million years that the trees were there, but like they were discovered and started being consumed around this period between 6th and 9th century. But at the beginning, as I mentioned to you privately before, it was just fruit, right? So the region of Ethiopia at that point was not as we know Ethiopia nowadays. It was called Abyssinia, that region of the world. And uh, those trees, those cherries, people were consuming uh, just the cherries and spitting it out and not actually eating the seeds, which that's actually what we make the coffee nowadays. So it took a little longer for them to start like consuming in different ways. But at the beginning, it was that that's was the way. And again, it was native trees, forest environment. So it was all around like areas that would grow other kinds of fruit trees and other shade trees. And again, and that's where all the coffee came from, like the genetic of coffee came from.
Yeah, yeah, and it's a lot of my research showed that uh, it was just the fruit that was really the primary reason for consuming coffee in the first place, and they weren't they using the beans and the fruit at different points, grinding them up together with like ghee or animal
Yeah,
fat, making little energy balls, right, for long journeys.
exactly. Well, at that point, they were like traveling all over, mostly by foot, and they create this. They figured it out that that fruit in general gave a lot of energy, and so what they were doing, like they were creating this kind of like primitive, like protein bars, like cereal bars
Yeah.
that they were like grind everything together. So like the skin, the pulp, and the seeds with some sort of like either ghee or other fat, because then you have like all the carbohydrates from the pulp. You have the fat that you added up, like to make like those little balls, plus all the caffeine. And not a lot of people know, but like the skin of the cherry that coffee comes from actually has more caffeine than the actual seeds. So this will make them not only like eat something, like have something with a little bit of like substance, like especially like the carbohydrates, but also like the caffeine to keep them going for days that they had to go through this journey. And because of the sugars in the pulp, it would not deteriorate so fast. Like it's kind of like preserving
Oh,
this little the little ball that they would put it back.
interesting. And one thing that you brought up, we were chatting earlier. One thing you brought up that I completely forgot about, the actual coffee cherry, the fruit, has more caffeine than just the bean or the seed on the inside, right?
Yeah, like a lot of people don't understand, but like, what is the caffeine? The caffeine is the natural defense mechanism of the tree to produce and reproduce. So against any like tiny organism, insects, and stuff like that. So if you're thinking about it, like the tree always tries to protect the seeds because that's what are going to create another tree, right? So the outside, the layers have more caffeine than, of course, the inside of the bean also have caffeine, but it has even more than that. Plus, it's also like if you guys, I don't know how much you guys ever try those cascara tea, which is the just the cherry
Yeah,
skin.
I've tried a
Like
few. Yeah.
it's like that's an energy drink like ready to go.
Yeah.
You can feel the difference between like a roasted coffee and like a castor tea. It's way more caffeine. So when you put everything together, of course, the caffeine level is like through the roof.
Yeah, and then adding that with some kind of a fatty product that helps you sort of slow down the metabolism in your stomach. I mean, that probably kept them going on those long journeys. I mean, they were nomadic people in those times, so I'm
Yeah,
sure that
they
that
were
kept them
nomadic people.
going for a long time. More caffeine buzz
Yeah.
than I'm used to just by having my usual espresso. You know?
No, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then
Now,
later on, like it took a little longer for them to drink coffee, right? Before it was just eating coffee. But then later on, they start doing like some infusions with everything.
yeah, and now it sounded like the infusions they would make a at one point they were making a fermented beverage. Technically, that means it's an alcoholic beverage. Um,
Yeah, like so, like that was like quaha. So they made like infusion with it, and because of the pulp will ferment, it will create like a buzz, like and it will create a little bit of alcohol too.
mm,
Uh, that was kind of like, and even like the word quaha as like some etymology of the world say that it means coffee. Some etymology of the world say that it's to put one down. Uh, so it's kind of like they were drinking that and have like it's kind of like drinking an energy drink with some alcohol to it because you the caffeine keeps there with the infusion, but then later
right.
on that's when you still
That's
have like the buzz out of it.
yeah, and that's where one could get put down, so to speak.
Yeah, yeah. So like that was the first, and then like of course when coffee got to Yemen and to Turkey, like that was forbidden, and then they start making
Right,
another
right.
infusion called kirsch. That was like with a lot of spice, so they were put at everything, but again, like the whole fruit we're talking about, like they put like the skin, the pulp, and then they'll add like cardamom, clove, cinnamon, ginger, and make like some sort of like a tea, like infusion with that, and that became like quite popular.
Ooh, yeah. Uh, and I'm sure that the sugar content and actually there is a pretty high amount of sugar content in coffee cherries to begin with. Um, and
Yeah,
so I'm sure that it was
it's
kind of a
not
sweet drink too,
that
no?
much. Like, yeah, it's not that much, but it is enough to ferment and make alcohol for sure. Um, but yeah, like especially if you do it everything together, yeah, that's a good amount of sugar. Of course, you also have the caffeine from the skin and the beans and the chlorogenic acid that will balance it out with bitterness because caffeine is bitter and so is chlorogenic acid is three times even bitter than caffeine. And again, like the cherry, the pulp, they have more caffeine and chlorogenic acid. So it kind of like even out when you do like infusion with everything together.
You know, and you brought up Yemen and Turkey earlier. That's a pretty important part of Ethiopian coffee history. Again, Ethiopia is the birthplace of coffee, but the rest of the world did not have coffee by this point, and it wasn't really. My
No.
understanding is it wasn't really until it went to Yemen that it was really cultivated on a farming level for consumption instead of just growing in the wild.
Yeah, like yeah, that's the thing. Like so, Ethiopia, Abyssinia, coffee grew in a wild. That's how people found out about it. Then like the Yemenis, which at that point that region of the world was called Arabia, uh, that they got those seeds and they brought back to the region, and that was where they made the first like plantation, like the like farms. So they will like start putting planting there and harvesting and changing and everything. And that's one of the reasons that we call coffee Coffea arabica. It's because of that region was called Arabia, therefore Coffea arabica. And then later on, when coffee started spreading out to other parts of the world, for example, like you guys probably heard that there is varieties of Arabica coffee called Typica, for example.
Oh yeah.
Typica was varieties that were from Yemen, that were took from Yemen and put in other country.
And didn't
One
they used to
example
say
is
these coffees are typically from Yemen, hence typica, right?
yes, yeah, that's one of the reasons, and then like this typica, and of course again, coffee is mutating every time you change the environment of the coffee because of the microorganism, the soil composition, water, everything, and
Even the
what
wildlife.
like the native trees, yes, the wildlife, it will change and will morph. So then when those typica varieties, when like the French took to the Bourbon Island in Southeast Asia, ended up mutating again, and they call Bourbon. Then when they came to Latin America, it mutated again. So then you kind of like, especially the early varietals of coffee, always have kind of like a name because of the origin point, but it was not, they're not genetically studied. Like they could see the morphology of the tree, like by like the height of the tree, the leaves were changing, maybe the cherry size and color and aspect were changing, and then they say like, oh, this plant changed, but it was not like a deep down a study about the genetics. And again, since and that's one of the reasons that I love Ethiopia. Like we have some scholars saying that Ethiopia have probably around 3,000 uncatalogued varieties that just, again, throughout the years and the centuries, mutated and created. And again, each micro region and altitude will create a different mutation of the plant. So since we don't know, like you can have like 5 trees and be 5 different mutations. We don't know what was took to what was brought to Yemen.
Right.
So then, depending on where did you got those, it's a different coffee, and then of course the mutation is different too. So
Yeah.
one of the like it's kind of like the original genetic bank of coffee from all over the world.
Oh yeah, yeah, and that's one of the most fascinating parts of Ethiopian coffees. And maybe this is a good transition. Actually, before we get into that, Ron, can you put that timeline back up? I just want to show something real quick here. The Don't forget the geisha variety was also first discovered in Ethiopia in the 1930s. So
Yeah,
and we'll get into this in just a little bit, but and thanks, Ron. The One of the most fascinating parts of Ethiopian coffee is just how many varietals there are and how diverse the biodiversity of the area is. And actually, yeah, perfect. Thanks, Ron. Hey, shout out to Ron on the boards today, helping us out. I have a coffee coming for you soon, but the way that Ethiopian coffees are kind of categorized, it's not like a Guatemalan Huehue Tenango yellow Bourbon or something like that. That's not typically how we talk about most Ethiopian coffees. We're usually just talking about the region that the coffee comes from. And Danilo, can you shed a little bit of light on why that is?
no, yeah. Nowadays we do have a little bit like some farms that have they study their genetics and they know exactly the varieties that they have over there, and they have all the studies about the environment around and everything else. A good example is the like the geisha variety. Like it grows like in this region that we call the region geisha. Uh, uh, because of the spelling, and that's interesting too. Some people,
Right.
because of that, like that part of the world when it was discovered, was still not like a written language. It was just like a spoken language. So some people wrote it down with the I, some people without, maybe with a G, some people with a J. But that's the
Right.
Geisha region. Uh, but again, the majority of the coffee in Ethiopia are from small farmers that they literally have the trees on their backyard, and they again mutating, changing. even if, when they have to replant those trees because they're not producing much, just grab some cherries from the other trees and replant that.
And who knows
So
what
there's
varietal it
this,
really is, right?
yeah, yeah. So there's so many varietals in the over there that we don't normally separate Ethiopia by varietal. It's normally by what we call regions, especially like famous dry and wet mills that will process those cherries to become the green bean that later on is going to be roasted. And those regions have like some famous names and characteristics, and the characteristics a little bit more about, let's say, the genetic of that region plus terroir. So they collect from the smallholder farmers, they separate a little bit by screen size density, but again, you cannot separate it by variety because you don't have that
Right.
information. Later on, they roast the coffee, they do it like a sample, and then they categorize those beverages with that. And they call those varieties heirloom.
Yeah, yeah. So that reminds me, whenever you're shopping for Ethiopian coffee or looking at an Ethiopian coffee bag, you're going to see heirloom on the bag a lot, and that's basically what
Yeah.
that means. It's there's just basically so many varietals or varieties that it could be anything, and a lot of them are mixed together. In there's only so
Yeah.
many mills that process coffee, so it's many different farms coming to one mill. And before you know it, who knows exactly what varieties are in there. That's one of the more interesting parts for me. And speaking of all that, though, we do have some questions in the chat if you want to dive into some of those before we make some coffee. Um, let's see.
You got a
Martin
question?
says, how did they figure out how to roast the seeds and start using those? This one might be maybe a little bit of legend in there, but I want to hear your take. I've heard like 8 legends on this.
Yeah, like there's like, again, we know that it was in the 1400s. That's when we start. So like just thinking about like, oh, coffee maybe it was discovered like in the 600, 600 something.
Sure.
But like just the 1400s, they start roasting the coffee. Some legends said there was like people like burning like a shake, burning old trees, and then they perceive the smell. But the other thing, like they first start roasting the whole cherry, and then they figured out that it's better just to do the seeds of it. But the first consumption of coffee was it was more spread out in Yemen, that was Arabia, and then of course in Istanbul, that like that, at that point it was Constantinople, and the first infusions of coffee, like you really roast a lot of it, grind very fine, and then you will boil with water, and that's what we call like nowadays the Turkish coffee,
Right.
for example. And even nowadays, like if you go to Ethiopia and some African countries like Kenya, Rwanda, they do they have this ritual where they after the cherries are dry, they take it out the seeds from it. They roast it on the spot, like on the little pan on the open fire,
Yeah.
very dark, and then they grind it on the spot with those. What is the name again? Like you told me earlier today, the like to macerate, like
The mortar and pestle.
yeah, and they will boil everything together with the water and serve to you. Like that's the Ethiopian ritual, and it's still done by this day.
Yeah, that's
So
right.
that was like when they start, like so it's still like a very they do this as a ritual. They drink coffee a lot too,
Right.
but that was like the first way that they start consuming the coffee roasted. But like I would love to have like detailed information about how they figured it out, when and why to roast, and why only roast
Yeah.
the
And
seeds
and
and not the whole thing.
and yeah, Martin. I mean, one of my theories is that, I mean, Danilo, you brought up that uh, when they were making those kind of energy balls, cooking them first helped congeal everything. So, right there, we've already got a case of, granted, you're cooking the entire fruit with the seeds inside, but, that's the beginning of cooking or roasting as it became coffee seeds. There's just several legends on how that happens, but basically my interpretation is just slowly over time, maybe accidentally discovering it by some of the bushes are burning and it smells amazing, and then, I wonder what that is. So not much of a way to know for sure.
Yeah, and that's the truth for a lot of like foods that we eat nowadays. Like uh, in Brazil, we have the yuca, for example, like that's super famous and everything. But there are some dishes in the north part of Brazil where the yuca originate from that they use the leaves of it. But those leaves you need to cook for 7 days because and before that it's actually poisonous. So like just thinking about like how they figured it out that you need to cook for 7 days, how many people die because
Yeah.
of that. So like that's the
Yeah.
true like the way that we consume some stuff is true for several foods. And with coffee, again, since being like something that we consume for so many years, it's hard to pinpoint how we start like roasting coffee.
Oh, especially that long ago. Ken has. I'm going to give you a rapid fire of 3 questions. Ready? Uh,
Shoot.
what are the tasting notes of Ethiopian coffee for espresso? That's going to be a tough one, but we'll get into it. Are Ethiopian coffee types not suited for espresso milk drinks? We can get into that too. Are Ethiopian coffees usually light roasted? All right, so what are the tasting notes of Ethiopian coffee for espresso?
Uh, Again, like that's something that actually we're going to talk a little bit about it. But again, as we spoke before, the coffees in Ethiopia are separated basically by regions. Let's say like one of the most famous region and the oldest region is the Yirgacheffe. Yirgacheffe,
Oh, thanks, Ron,
we
for that.
know, yeah, normally it's floral coffees. All the Ethiopian coffees actually always have some florality to it.
Hmm.
Uh, the Yirgacheffe, it's known for like this tea-like body, like tea characteristics and floral characteristics.
Which I
But
love,
again,
yeah.
yeah, I'm a guy that I'm always experimenting, and after like a couple of decades in this industry, I've tried Ethiopia in espresso and filter. I don't believe that there is a region in Ethiopia that is not good for one or another. I don't believe that. Maybe the roast profile, it will be good for one or another. But one thing for sure, because of the altitude and the composition of soil, Ethiopian coffee tends to be very high dense, like like so much density. So, which means that they occupy a space. They are very heavy in the composition when they occupy the same space of, let's say, a Brazilian coffee.
Hmm.
And so when you roast this kind of coffees, you need to be careful to roast from inside out evenly, which is a little bit harder. So then people not to lose this florality that you have in most Ethiopian coffees, they tend to go a little lighter
To not
to
lose
keep
that
the,
florality, right?
yes.
There you go.
So that's why normally people think that Ethiopia is oh, it's supposed to be like light roast. No, not precisely has to be. You can do roast like like a darker roast as well. And again, depending on the notes that you have from that particular lot, because even coming just say from Yirgacheffe can be like different lots depending on the process that can bring a little bit more characters that you like in coffee. Like I love floral espressos. Not everyone likes. I
Hmm.
love high acidity espressos. Not everyone likes those. So it
Me
will
too.
really depends. So I don't believe that there is a region from Ethiopia that is better or worse for espresso or filter.
And
Like,
I tend to agree. And then, Ken, on the question about are the Ethiopian coffee types not suited for espresso milk drinks, that one I'm going to go
ooh,
subjective. I do, and
well,
let me know your thoughts here, Danilo. My thought is if a lot of Ethiopian coffees are roasted lighter, then you're going to get a little higher acidity. And again, I don't hate that. I love that myself. But then you need to decide, do I want oh, thanks, James. Do I want milk plus acidity? Do I want to be squeezing a lemon into my milk? You know what I mean? So um, it can vary coffee to coffee. I've had a lot of Ethiopian coffees that are just total fruit bombs. not like a bright citric acidity. And those kind of
More so
coffees
like
can,
berries, right?
yeah, yep, so you can end up with this nice like strawberries and cream kind of thing when you do a sour cream, he says, yeah. Um, you can end up with this berries and cream kind of thing if you do a cappuccino with an Ethiopian, like a more fruit bomb kind of a Ethiopian coffee, like a Sidamo, for example. Those are just my thoughts. What do you think?
Yeah, the Sedama, like normally it's more fruity again because of the process, the region, and everything else. Like Limo will probably be something more balanced. The acidity is going to be more tuned down, I'll say, like to the middle, and it's going to be smooth. Uh, of course, when we're talking about Geisha Village, is the complexity and super fruity. But again, let's like I'm a judge of World Barista Championship, the uh, 2018 World Barista Champion, Agnieszka Rodzieska from Poland. She used that Ethiopian coffee
Oh, I
for
remember
all the
that. Yeah.
courses. So it was espresso, it was milk drink, and I remember talking to the judges after, and they were telling me, "Oh, that was delightful because like the milk drink tastes like a dessert." So because it was sweet, fruity, but not overly acidic or kind of like yogurt-like. No, it was not. It was perfectly balanced, super sweet. So it depends also. It's subjective to what you like. If you're looking for something like milk chocolatey, yeah, sure. Like sometimes like a limo, maybe like a Jima or stuff like that will help you out. Some geisha villages will have this like milk chocolate profile too, besides the florality and
Interesting.
fruitiness. So it depends on what you like as a milk drink. Milk drinks are amazing. You can make it's a two ingredient beverage that I always say that is a signature drink that you can make with two ingredients. So it depends how you're gonna extract, how it was roasted. So I never discard like Ethiopia is not good for milk. Like I don't believe that.
Yeah, and that goes back to the try everything thing that we're always saying in this coffee world. And speaking of, we should try some coffee. Ron, I've got a nice little image there talking about our particular coffee. This is a Whole Latte Love Ethiopian offering. Danilo, you picked this one out. I'm
Hmm.
going to grind some coffee real quick because I want to make a pour over. Um, I got this dialed in. It tastes fabulous. What was it about this coffee that you were drawn to? And hopefully my grinding won't cut you off here.
Well, for me, this coffee, what I like about this coffee is it has like it's the balance, you know. Let's wait for John to finish, right?
Sorry, Danilo.
No worries.
It's live.
Uh, so for me, it's all about the balance. What I like about this coffee particularly is that this is the how can I say the coffee that it's a very versatile coffee. You can make a filter coffee out of it
Hmm.
in different ratios too. Like let's say that you like your drip coffee with milk. You can do like a 1 to 14, 1 to 15 ratio. It's going to taste amazing. If you like to drink just single, you start from 116, go to 1 to 18 ratio. It's going to taste super like delicate. You will have the floral notes, a little bit of the fruity too, but also like this kind of like smooth mouthfeel and the tactile sensation uh, in your mouth. Like I love that. But
Hmm.
this is also a coffee that tastes great as espresso.
And
That's
and we are going to make an espresso out of this as well. I've got my Synchronica 2 set up right behind me here. Um, what I'll give you my feedback on what I was experiencing with the espresso when I was dialing in here. Um, Excellent acidity on this one, and I was pulling it pretty short, about like 20-second extraction. And in general, uh, shorter time is going to increase the acidity, and you'll get a little extra, bitterness or body, depending on how you interpret it with the longer time. I tried one at 20 seconds and one at about 24 seconds. A little extra body on that 24, and I imagine if I went a little bit more, I would get up to like 28 seconds, I can get even more body out of there. The one that I had though was at 20 seconds, and it was so crisp and clear and clean. Now the actual pour over that I made earlier, we're gonna do another one, and Ron, I'm gonna hand you one. You're gonna be my Danilo today, okay? Since I can't hand you one, Danilo. The actual pour over, I was getting a lot of clarity on that as well, and there are some floral notes in this coffee that, what was really interesting to me was I was getting similar taste profiles both in the espresso and in the pour over, which to me means whichever region offers flavors that you think you might like. If you like a lot of fruity coffees, get a Sidamo, and it's going to be pretty fruity in the cup, and it's going to be pretty fruity as an espresso as well. To me, just totally different concentrations and densities and takes on the same coffee.
Yeah, and again, as I said before, all Ethiopian coffees has a little bit of florality, which is I love. The problem with that is when you go a little longer with the extraction time, uh, either in a pour over or espresso, that floral note tends to go a little bit into the bitter side. So like it's kind of like
Yes.
the perfumey, like all this. So that's why I normally like people. It's always afraid of the acidity to do like a faster extraction or like let's say a more diluted ratio. They always get afraid of that, and that it's not going to have enough body. And I always say like again, let's thinking about a little bit about this other aspects of the coffee, that is like the density, how it was roasted, and everything else. And what you can, because this coffee is so dense and so sweet, normally you will extract all of that into the cup, even doing faster. But if you push too hard with the time, like longer extractions, it tends to those like acids turn a little bit into the bitter part.
Mm.
So this is like why I chose this coffee. But and I remember telling you, hey, my experience with this kind of coffee is to do like a faster rover and again a faster shot of espresso.
Speaking of which, I've got this dialed in. It should draw down in about 2 minutes and 45 seconds. I'm at about like 140 right now. I played with this coffee a lot before this live stream. I did 6 different pour over recipes. If you want to pick up this coffee and make a pour over out of it, this is what I would do. I'm doing a 1:17 ratio here, and I used 20 grams of coffee, which means 1:17. All you do is you multiply your dose by 17. So 20 times 17, I'm using 340 grams of water. I tried 1:16, 1:17, 1:18, and I also tried several different pouring schedules. I tried a 3-pour schedule and a 5-pour. The 3-pour schedule, which is what I just did, I brought in 100 grams right off the bat, waited for about 45 seconds, then added more water until it got to 220. Then I waited until about 120, a minute 20, then brought it up to 340, which is my target, my final water weight. So only 3 pours in there. And actually, yeah, we're done now. We're at about 250, pretty close. And it tasted super clean and crisp, and the floral notes were popping, but there's plenty of fruit in there. There was even a little blueberry note. Some milk chocolate notes at the 1:17 started to reveal themselves as well, which I thought was really interesting. So just really, really, really complex coffee. And
Yeah,
actually,
and I like
Ron,
to when it cools down a little bit. That's the other thing that I like about this coffee. Like it gets even more complex. Not a lot of people have the uh, the habit of consuming coffee after it cools down, But again, especially when we're talking about this kind of coffee, like just allow yourself to try when it's like start going towards like room temperature because it shows different tasting notes and aspects of the coffee. And I'm really a fan of this coffee.
Especially with a coffee this complex. And again, I mean, we're talking about Ethiopia, one of the most biodiverse coffee growing regions in the world. So when you let these kinds of complex coffees cool down, it's just going to open itself up, and you're just going to get note after note after note, which is what impressed me.
Yeah, and the other thing that I remember mentioning to you, like this specifically this whole like I love Ethiopia limo, I love also to do uh, um, like a cold, not a cold brew, but like a iced coffee with it.
Ooh,
So normally, like for example, right now you use 20 grams to 340 of water. What I would do, I would put half of the weight I will put in ice inside the server, and then I will do the three pours. I will divide in three pours as well, like you did, but only half of it, and that will create this kind of like the ice will be like a bypass that
yeah,
cools
yep.
down, but also doesn't dilute it. You will always keep the same recipe, and then it's like just go ahead and drink it.
I think I've got a teammate out there that it has a killer iced coffee recipe, kind of like that. I'm gonna have her put together an iced coffee of this Ethiopia limu here as well. I'm gonna actually give this just a quick sec. I want it to cool down a little bit. Let's pull an espresso. We've got a little bit of time left. I think we got just enough time to do an espresso here. I'm gonna do.
Yeah,
You gave me
for
a
the espresso,
recipe.
yeah, yeah, like I think you should go like 18 grams and 40 out. And as we were talking before, like a faster shot, do not be afraid if it's even go a little under 20 seconds, even if it's like 18, 19. Do not worry about that. And again, because of espresso, we are working with high temperatures, but also high pressure. That's when I tend to go a little lower in temperature, like you did 205 for the Pourover. Again, you're just counting on gravity. For the espresso, I think like 198 will be a little bit better.
And that's what I've got over here as well. I've got it at 199, just a little bit hotter than that. But
It's
check
perfect.
this out. Um, we've got a poll here that Nick put up in our
Oh,
chat. I know you can't see it on your end, Danilo, but it was Ethiopia limu, espresso or pour over. 66% said espresso to the 33% saying pour over. And I don't have a preference. It just depends on what I'm in the mood for that day. They both taste awesome to me. So
yeah, but it's not every coffee that will have this like versatility of flavor. But this is like a mix of two things: is the bean itself, the origin itself, but also how it was roasted. So it is a what I like to call a multi-purpose roast. It will not get uh, bitter as a filter because normally espresso roast will taste bitter as a filter, and it will not get over acidic in espresso, which is normally a uh, filter roast will. So like that's also like kind of like it just showcased the best that this coffee can in terms of flavors and tactile.
not super rare to have a coffee that works well with both, filter or drip
No,
and espresso. But when you get one that is this remarkable in either preparation, that's the part that I think is pretty special.
I agree.
In fact, real quick, a technical question here. Ken says, how can you state 1 to X or 1 to whatever without knowing grind size? I would say grind size is going to be independent of uh, the actual brew ratio. Um,
Grind size will let you know about the time,
yeah,
especially. So let's, as I said before, like these coffees are gonna taste better with a like faster, so we know that we are in the coarser side. Doesn't matter if you have like a conical burrs or a flat burrs, like a small, bigger one. So and that's my experience with this kind of Ethiopian coffees. Brought me that. It doesn't matter the grinder. So the grind size is going to give me these the time that I wanted. If I go like too fine, that's when I'm going to go to those bitter notes that I don't want it in a cup. So the
Right.
time here, when I'm talking about the time, I'm implying that the grind size should be a little coarser, and that's why I can say a little bit about the ratio too, because I play with both like extensively, and that's how I know.
Yeah, and I would also add, and we got a split in just a sec. We'll pull a quick shot, but Ken, I would also add, um, the real answer is you can do anything you want. You can even do like 1 to 8 if you think it tastes good. So that part you can really do anything you want. But what I think Danilo and I have kind of figured out over testing over the past couple of days is this 1 to 17 thing. At least subjectively to me, it just tasted awesome. So, I would encourage try other stuff because maybe I missed something. There are an unbelievable number of variables, and I just didn't have time to get to them all. So, but
Yeah, and
let's
for me, like I think,
yeah.
especially when we're talking about espresso, it should be like a balance between sweetness, acidity, and bitterness. And with filter is the same thing. Like so, it's showing all the flavors plus having a good tactile experience plus this all the flavors. So
Yeah.
that's why I know.
Yeah. Yeah, and balance is something I'm always looking for, not just in espresso, but in pour over as well. Here we go. Let's grind a little 18-gram dose. There we go. And I'll kind of show you a little bit of my puck prep. And Danilo, you're a coach. You can critique my puck prep if you want. Ron, hit me
Not
with
gonna
a
do that to
overhead
you.
camera. We'll show my whole thing I got going on here. There we go. I'm using the got my Chiato E6C Chameleon, one of my favorite single dose grinders.
Yeah, it's pretty good for it's a all-purpose grinder, pretty good. And again, this is one of the grinders that will bring a lot of cleanliness. Doesn't matter if it's espresso or filter. So yeah, it's pretty good for especially a delicate coffee like this.
Today I'm not using I'm going stock fleth. This is the old school method that we used before we had distribution tools. So we're getting about as close as we can. What do you think?
Okay,
All right,
that looks
wonderful.
good. Like let's see the tamping now.
All right, that'll be the real, the real test. What do you think? Did I pick up too fast, or am I going to make it out alive?
It's all about the taste, brother. All about the taste.
Good answer. Speaking of, here we go. So we did 18 in. We're going for about 40 out. That was the recipe that we were working with, right?
Yep, and slightly fast extraction than usual, just to,
Yes. Yeah,
improve
I've got
those.
this dialed into, if I got my grind setting right, it should be around between 20 and 23 seconds. Let's see what we have here.
Yeah, and do not worry about how the that's something that also is a myth, like how it's coming out. That's not a diagnosis. The diagnosis is always the taste.
Woo, we got a real fast one. I went just a little bit too coarse. That was about 16 seconds, so I'm a little low, but
It's still gonna taste good. Maybe the body's gonna be a little low, but I doubted that the acidity is gonna be overwhelming.
nice. I mean, there's so much pressure involved that, oh, Martin says lever espresso machine or profiles help. Yeah, I'm a lever machine fan myself. That was one of my first machines I ever worked on in a cafe. Ron, do you want to try? I pulled one for you. Nice. Danilo, yours is on the way, I promise.
Okay, please, FedEx.
First, I'm going to taste this pour over that I've let cool a little bit. As it cools, that blueberry note was front and center. And the florals are,
Yeah, and it tends to get sweeter too.
yeah, and the florals are like, there's like 8 things going on there. There's lavender, there's like sweet florals, like lilac, things like that, a little bit of jasmine. Um,
What about
and
the
that milk,
espresso?
yeah, that milk chocolate note at the end is there too. Here we go, espresso. Higher acidity since it was a lower extraction, but crushable. This is, and you know what, Danilo, you brought up don't slurp espresso,
No.
slurp
Yeah,
pour over. All
short
right, here we
filter,
go.
not espresso.
Let's do a no slurp. Here we go. And the acidity is way softer when I'm not slurping.
Yes, and the bitterness is probably going to be softer too.
Yeah, big time. Yeah, and this is clean and crisp, very floral. Having a tough time getting a big mess of notes. I think maybe if I like bring it up to 18, 19, 20 seconds. But this is crushable. I can make this go away in about 2 seconds here. I'll tell you what, we are just about at the end here, and I just want to remind everybody, don't forget to subscribe so that you don't miss these live streams in the future here. We're going to be here next week, 3 p.m. Eastern, as always. Keep your eye on the channel for all kinds of other things, coffee that we have going on here at Whole Latte Love. Danilo, anything that you want to say before we split?
Well, as always, like, please always experiment, always try out. And again, if you want more information about coffee, Whole Latte Love is the place for you to find it.
Awesome. Thanks, man. Hey, thanks for taking time out of your day to meet with us, and hopefully I'll get a chance to see you pretty soon, and we can put some of these back together.
Oh, that's for sure. My pleasure, guys.
All right, thanks, Danilo. Thank you to all of you as well. We'll catch you next time. Cheers.